This is Holly with WoodlandsHits.com, and I have the gorgeous Anne Causey here in studio, and you are a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas here in the Woodlands. Thank you so much for coming into the studio today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So you have been, how long have you been practicing? And, give me a little bit of background on how you got started in becoming a professional counselor.
Well, I've been practicing for 27 years, and I sort of fell into it. I was a legal secretary, and I've been doing that for a while, and I was in my mid-20s, and I thought, wow, I need to do something for fun. So I took my master's for fun, and then discovered that it was just really what I was made to do. And the first job that I ever had came to me, and actually that's the way it's always been. I've just been so blessed to just have the doors open and to be able to work with people and to help them and to walk with them through the good times and the bad for the past 27 years.
Nice. So give me just a little rundown of the areas that you specialize in.
Well, I do a lot of relationship counseling, whether that's marriage counseling, whether it's family counseling, whether it's parent-child, especially the teenage years counseling.
Oh, I need to come see you for that one, for the teenage years.
Because the bottom line is that our relationships with one another it's what makes our relationships valuable. It's what makes our lives meaningful.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I also, so you're married.
Yes,
and
I am.
You have babies.
I do. I've been married to Mike for 20 years, and we have 3 kids. Hannah's 18, Nathan is 14, and Rebecca is 11, and she's adopted from China.
Nice, nice. So, where is your office located, just so the listeners can find out?
We're in the Woodlands in a really convenient location. We're just south of the mall, right off of the feeder in between Woodlands Parkway and Rayford Sawdust.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you're really close.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So we wanted a little topic for our interview today, and we wanted to talk about how to make the most of the last days of summer. I know we're 11 days out for the first day of school, and I know a lot of moms are like, thank you, they're going back to school. So let's chat about, making the most of the last days of summer.
Well, even though the parents are excited, summer is actually a really special time because there's a lot less stress on people. You can sleep in, you have more choices.
That is true.
You don't have to be getting the kids on the bus. So even though we're sometimes very excited that the kids are going back to school, there's still a sense of, oh gosh, did we do enough? And so one of the things I want to remind people is that it's not too late. It's not too late to do something that will actually enable you to feel connected to your kids. One of the problems we have in our culture, because there's so many electronics and things like that, is that we can be in the same room with each other, but not actually talking to each other. And so I'm always encouraging families to try to just make the most of the time that we have, because pretty soon you're going to be back to being the homework police.
Yes.
And we all know what happens then.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that one for sure. So, and did you have some other pointers that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I actually have 3 things that I think can be really helpful for families who want to connect with each other before school gets started. And I've got 3 tips. Number 1 is just turn off your electronics for a little bit every day when you're with each other, because when you turn those off, sometimes the teenager gets bored enough to actually want to interact.
Correct.
The younger kids are just hungry for our attention. A lot of times, have you ever experienced this? You get on the phone, as soon as you're on the phone, your kid wants to talk to you.
Every time.
That's because we are so important to our kids. And so just really turning off the electronics and being available just to notice what our kids are doing. Even if you're not doing something special, just noticing and being aware helps them to feel way more secure than they do otherwise. So that's my first tip. Do take some time to intentionally turn off your electronics.
Okay, perfect.
The second tip is be spontaneous. I think that that's much harder to do once school starts. And it's easy to so schedule yourself that there isn't time to just do something spur of the moment, but a lot of times the spur of the moment things are the most fun.
That's true.
So this week there was a great Groupon on Chuck's Tubes in New Braunfels, and so we decided to be spontaneous. We drove 3 hours to New Braunfels, and we tubed for 3 hours, and then we came home. We'd never been tubing. It was hilarious. It was fun. One of the things, when you go tubing, you can get stuck in this little pool that just goes around in a circle, and you're struggling. Yes.
Like a hamster.
Yes. You're struggling and trying to get out. And all I could think was, this is really out of control. It's actually just like real life, only way more obvious.
Sure.
So we did that. We've never done that before. And my kids are saying, can we go again? And now it'll probably not be until next summer that we get to go again. But it was really cool to do something new. It wasn't very expensive. We had the road trip feel, but we got to sleep in our own beds at night.
Nice.
So don't be afraid to be spontaneous.
Okay.
And the last tip really is just keep it simple, because the more simple it is, the easier it's going to be to pull off. So backyard camping can be so much fun. Really, even if you don't have a tent, you need a flashlight, some chairs, and some blankets, and you can build yourself a fort in the backyard.
Yep.
And the kids just love getting outside with the flashlights, running around in the dark. I think that's a really cool
S'mores.
thing
You
to
gotta
do.
do s'mores.
Absolutely. That's on
simple.
my list. Fire pit s'mores.
There you go.
Lots of people in our neighborhood get their fire pits out and they sit on the driveway.
Yeah.
So s'mores, kids love that. Stargazing, which we don't always take the time to do, or
That's true.
making sure that you're laying on your back and listening to the frogs and looking at the moon. Those are really, really simple things, but they create special memories.
Yeah.
And speaking of special memories, one of the things that I think is really powerful, so often we ask our kids, how was your day? What did you do? And that's okay, because then you know what your kids did. But if you really want to connect with your kids, ask them how they felt about something that they did, their actual emotion. So sitting down together as a family and saying, what was your highlight of the summer? How did you feel when we did that? You get some really funny stories. You hear about things your kids felt that you didn't know. You might have a child who was really terrified when you did something, but you couldn't see it on their face.
Sure.
And it's really connecting for people to share those emotional things. Let them share what they hated about the summer. That trip you dragged them on that you thought was going to be fabulous and it rained or whatever. And laugh together about what didn't go exactly the way you thought it was going to go. And even, I think it's really powerful to think, wow, what could we do next year that would be really cool? And letting the whole family think about that, so that you really hear what's on people's hearts, what's on your kids' hearts, what's on your spouse's heart. What would be fun? Because having something to look forward to when you're starting your 9-month stint of school, some people actually can start to feel a little down. So just beginning already to think about what's going to happen next summer can pep people up a bit.
Awesome. Those are some really awesome tips.
Thank you.
I love that. So again, I want to mention again to the listeners that I have Anne Causey, a licensed professional counselor here in the Woodlands. She's been practicing for 27 years, and your office is located over in Oak Ridge. Is that correct?
No, actually, we're in the Woodlands. Our
Okay.
street is Oak Ridge Drive, but we're
Okay.
on the Woodlands side.
Okay,
So we're
gotcha.
just south
Okay.
of the Olive Garden restaurant.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about. Okay, I know exactly where that is. So if people want to learn more about what you specialize in, or if they want to learn more about your practice, what's your website?
My website is annecausey.com,
Okay, or they can call you at
832-492-5068.
Perfect. Well, Anne, thank you so much for sharing this information.
Oh, you're
This is
welcome.
great, and these are great tips for any not just families, just individuals as well. So these are great
Absolutely.
tips. So thank you so much again for coming in. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.